All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Soul of the SKOL. We have got us three here today. Eventually, we'll have another guy joining later, but here we are to recap the Minnesota Vikings draft. The 3-day football event is in the books. The Vikings made 7 selections, I believe, and they also signed a bunch of UDFAs after the draft. Here we are to go through it for the first time since we were live on Thursday night, losing our minds, having fun, talking about football, Big Lou sneezing. Yeah, that was kind of how Thursday went. So that said, I think maybe the best way we can do this is, I think the first thing we can do is go around and just say yes or no. Do you think the draft was a success? And then we can go through pick by pick, or we can give grades to the Vikings. I don't know, whatever you guys want. And then we can go through pick by pick and look at, did this pick make sense? Was it a good pick? Should they have done something else? That kind of a thing. So with that said, we can either answer the question, was it a success, or we can do a grade based on how we think they did. What do we think?
More success, hard to grade.
Okay, yeah. It's hard to grade right away because you don't know until a year or two out.
Yeah.
You can't really make a judgment. Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I think it was a success overall. I mean, when you look at what the Vikings needed coming into the draft, they needed an edge rusher, and they needed their quarterback of the future. So losing Kirk Cousins, obviously, it was pretty much the Vikings telling us they're gonna get a quarterback, and if they wouldn't have, we would have all been on here having some serious questions. But you land McCarthy, who I think was pretty much their guy all along. Just listening to them talk about him and just looking back on all the pre-draft stuff, and then finding a way to get Dallas Turner, who was falling. No matter what, you overpaid for him, but at the same time, it's like, he's the best defensive player on the board, and you went up and got him. So those are initial thoughts. And then, your day 3 picks are always going to be just your depth pieces, guys that are projects that, hey, maybe they'll work out. Maybe we can turn them into something. So overall, I thought it was a success for the Vikings.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Matt, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna agree with Sam. I thought it was a success. I liked the day 3 pick of Will Reichard, again solidifying our future kicker. It was unfortunate that Troy Taylor went so early in the 4th round. That was a crazy reach, but the Bears had a good draft nonetheless. Dallas Turner pick was easily the best pick of the entire draft for the Vikings. You solidify an edge rusher, you lose Daniel Hunter. You'll get a young guy for sure for 4 years, and a guy of his talent, easily regarded as probably the best edge rusher in the draft. To just get him at 17, even if it was trading up, was good enough. And then obviously you draft JJ McCarthy, who I'm not too high on, but at the end of the day, that was the best available. The Vikings liked him, and they got him. If he ends up working out, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong about him. But you can't just go hating Kirk Cousins and then immediately applauding JJ McCarthy before he's even taken a snap. But that's just how I feel. I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong when JJ McCarthy wins Offensive Rookie of the Year over Malik Neighbors.
When he wins MVP, not like Kirk Cousins ever did, even though you predicted it all the time.
Kirk was on pace until he tore his Achilles. You got to admit.
You can argue that, yep.
Yeah, he would have had a chance, but I don't know if he would have won because he's Kirk Cousins. So that's that. If you ask me, I think this draft was absolutely a success. They were able to, especially the first round, fans can gripe and cry about what they did, but at the end of the day, they got the quarterback they were looking for, a potential franchise quarterback, and arguably the best defensive player in the whole draft, and they didn't give up next year's first. They were able to come away with all that. I thought that was awesome. And one thing that I question a bit here, Viking fans. The Vikings only made 7 selections this year. I've been seeing around Twitter, just over the years, of like the Rick Spielman, he loved drafting a lot of guys for quantity. And then Viking fans, I would always see cry about, we want quality over quantity. Why are we drafting 8 players in the 7th round? And then this year, I started seeing, why'd we only draft 7 guys? Like, that's not really enough. But like, to me, it's just kind of Viking fans, make up your mind. Would you rather get as many players as possible and then hope as many pan out as possible? Or would you go for the quality players and go for the value? And I'm on I'm on team B there. I go for the value. I go for the quality. Quantity to me means nothing, especially for multiple reasons. One is because of the UDFA class they had. That is good. Just like last year when they got Ivan Pace and Andre Carter. We'll have to see if he works out, but that was big. And then another thing I'll say, Viking fans complained about the trade for Dallas Turner, but at the end of the day, I don't care because there's two things that draft charts don't put into the equation. One is other teams also trying to trade up to that same pick. It does not factor that into it because there's no way you can. The other is how the draft board falls out. If there's a player dropping, it's okay to overpay for them because other people are going to be calling. There's no way you'd know that ahead of time. So even though some fans are not going to like that trade that they went back up from 23 to 17, I'm going to stand up and clap because I think I think Kwesi did an awesome job and he did what I was looking for. So shout out to Kwesi. Good job. So that's my initial takeaway from this one. Obviously, we won't know how these players pan out we can't really grade the draft for at least a year into the future is when we'll really know. So it'll be a little bit, but I thought that Kwesi did a great job and his philosophy kind of lines up with what I've been wanting to do for the past couple of years now. And so thanks to Kwesi for that one. Coming away from the draft, there's one thing I still question, and it's why did the Falcons take Michael Penix? I still don't understand it. We're like, 5 days away now? 5 days past? I still just don't really get what they were doing. To me, it doesn't make sense. I've looked at people talk about it. I've heard voices talk about what they're doing. To me, it's just still a question mark. I don't really get what they're doing, but unless anyone else has an idea, why did the Falcons draft Michael Penix, and why does it make sense?
I feel like they did it. I heard Dan Orlovsky trying to talk about why it was good for them, but I don't really care what Dan Orlovsky has to say a lot of the time, just like a lot of people don't care what I have to say a lot of the time. I say, because I saw someone say they were trying to model what the Packers did when they drafted Jordan Love. That's completely different in terms of you have a quarterback on the way out, and Jordan Love was a young guy. Well, Kirk Cousins just signed a 4-year deal. I think they're giving him 2 years for sure. And if he doesn't really pan out or if his Achilles really hampers him, then they're just going to move on. But the quarterback you just drafted is 24. He's going to be 26 by the time he starts. In a perfect world, Kirk plays the 4-year contract. Then Penix is 28. By that time, they probably find another quarterback. So I think it's just adding that insurance to say, hey, if Kirk really doesn't work out, we're not going to have a fall off. Like, we can just throw Penix in there. He's an experienced enough quarterback out of college, and he can learn under Kirk for 2 years. We don't have that crazy drop off. But at the same time, I'm just like everyone else. I don't understand it. There were other position needs they could have went and got. They could have went and gotten Dallas Turner, even though it wasn't a huge need. They could have just kept adding talent to a roster that's ready to win right now. So drafting for the future just didn't make a lot of sense, but who knows what the Falcons were thinking.
Yeah, my guy Joel Klatt, I was listening to him yesterday. He was recapping the draft, and he went on this 10-minute rant about the Falcons drafting Michael Penix, and he made some great points in it. But overall, I mean, like you said, you just paid your guy for 4 years, you gave him $110 million. Like, what are we doing here? I mean, by the time if he plays out his contract, by the time Penix plays, he's going to be 29. Even if he only plays 2 years and he's gone, Penix is going to be 26. So I don't fully understand it. That team is fully in win now mode. They have I don't know if you call it a Super Bowl window, but they definitely have the ability to contend with Kirk Cousins. And you just signed everyone. Like, you signed a bunch of guys. So go up in the draft, get the best player available on your board for all I care. I mean, I don't understand. Why would you draft Michael Penix when, like you said, Dallas Turner's there? Or even, who knows? I mean, you can – whoever the best player on your board is. You don't need a quarterback. That's the last thing you need. It makes no sense.
Their best window since Super Bowl 51. Just trying to throw that out there. But
exactly.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, is it really they were so scarred by the quarterback play they had after Matt Ryan that they
were so scared of, because what happened with Desmond Ridder? They had to make sure they had a quarterback ready to go.
And it just adds to like your fan base. The second Kirk Cousins has a bad game, which as Vikings fans, we know he's destined to do. He's going to have a bad game or two every season. They're going to call for his head. They're going to call for Penix to play. I mean, it creates dysfunction within your fan base, which I'm sure they don't care about, but it can create dysfunction within the organization. You didn't tell Kirk Cousins it'd be one thing if you tell him, they're like, hey, we're thinking about drafting a quarterback, but they didn't even bring him in for a visit. Like, they didn't meet with this guy. It makes no sense. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then even to go further into their draft, their next pick was an insane reach for Rukarorov out of Clemson. I watched him play, and all he was at Clemson was a rotational piece. He didn't start until his last year, but even then, there were other guys that were there that were better than him. Mm-hmm. I think he probably was a day 3 talent taken early second round. I did not understand that pick either.
Yeah, I'll say I respect him for trying to model like the Packers, but even though a lot of people really like what the Packers did, I still have a slight criticism about it, and it's because Jordan Love, he sat, 2 years? Was it 2 or 3?
It was 3.
Okay. He sat 3 years, and last season he played very, very well. So it worked very well for the Packers in that way. But at the same time, they're about to pay him $40 million a year, maybe more, something around that probably. The whole point of you getting a rookie quarterback or young quarterback is so you can get a couple years of that cheap salary. Here's Sam Z. Welcome him in.
How's it going, guys?
Going good. We're talking about the Michael Penix pick and how it's still a head scratcher.
Yeah, so, I'm sure you guys have pretty much covered it all already, but yeah.
So I was going to say just the quarterback itself, like what they did to Jordan Love makes sense, but now you're about to pay him $40 million a year and you get that rookie quarterback so you can have the cheap salary and to build around him. But now they're about to be paying him big money and they only had 1 year of that cheap salary. So that's another reason I don't like what the Falcons did. And that's why to me it's a question mark. That's why you go with a bridge quarterback like the Vikings did. That's why I think the Vikings have done this past, honestly, year now flawlessly. And we'll just have to see how it pans out. But I like what they did. Falcons, I don't get it. Maybe someday I will, but
even quickly, just going back to the Packers, thought process of taking Jordan Love, even at that time, everyone thought it was a stupid pick because they're in win now mode. That was their title window with Aaron Rodgers towards the tail end of his career. They could have went and got T. Higgins or another receiver, but then they went quarterback. It just didn't make sense. They're lucky it worked out, though.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, so the first thing we did on this episode, we went around and we said, was the draft a success or not? And then after that, we got into a little with the Michael Penix just because it was still interesting to talk about and it's still fun. So Sam, would you say that this draft was a success or a failure in your personal opinion?
Are we talking draft as a whole?
The Vikings draft. Sorry.
So
Vikings draft as a whole, but just the Vikings
draft as a whole. Do we have it all in the spreadsheet already?
They got McCarthy, Turner, Kyrie Jackson, Will Reichard, Michael Juergens, Levi Drake Rodriguez. I plugged him in earlier, so.
Okay. Juergens was the tackle and Drake Rodriguez was the defensive tackle.
Yeah, that's correct.
Mistaken. I mean, I think they definitely addressed all of our biggest needs. So I think that was awesome. Kwesi did the first round beautifully. I don't think the only team I think that drafted better than the Vikings in the first round was the Bears. But they also had a lot better draft capital to build off of. Didn't even have to trade picks. So, yeah, I would say Vikings definitely had a really, really good draft. One of the best in recent memories.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I think Vikings, I complained about the trades that they made.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. Yes, you did trade a fair amount, but you did get the 2 most valuable positions on the football field. I'd say in the modern NFL for sure. Quarterback, edge rusher. 2 most valuable positions. And you got 2 of the, I'd say, upper echelon for Dallas Turner might be top players in the position in the draft. I'm going to give this question to Matt. He's not been the most JJ McCarthy fan. Do you feel a difference between the fact that the Vikings only traded up 1 spot to get him Or do you just not like JJ McCarthy as a whole? Because when we talked about trading into the top 3, top 5, you were opposed to that. They only moved up one spot. Are you still not a fan, or does it change now that it wasn't as big of a reach, maybe?
It was one pick, and they didn't give up the 23, so I guess no. If you were trying to trade into the top 3, heck, top 5, then yeah, that would have been a major problem. Because if you trade into top 3, they're going Drake May, and that's what they wanted to do, but the Patriots stood firm. But the whole like trading up to 10, and then you got Sean Payne's white. He's white. Sean Payne. I was about to say something that I shouldn't have, so I caught myself. But Sean Payne's so dumb. He's just sitting here saying, "Oh, we baited the Vikings into trading up and going into the top 10." And it's like, you didn't just draft a 4th-round talent at number 12. Yeah. Could the Broncos have jumped us and took JJ McCarthy? Maybe. Was it bluff at the end of the day? Yes. But it was one pick, and we still retained 23. So, no, I don't care that much. If it was top 5, yes, I would have had a problem.
So I think really the question I think I really had that I could have phrased it better is more, do you have a problem with the player or do you have a problem with the value?
Player.
Hey, way to be brute. Way to be honest with us. So, yeah. So I guess we can start with that. We've talked, I guess, some about it now here, and we did on Thursday. The Vikings moved up from 11 to 10, took JJ McCarthy out of Michigan. I guess I don't know, but the there's a couple takeaways I have from him. One of them is that in what I've read is that his biggest flaw almost is not really his play, but it's more of just the fact that his sample size is small because they didn't throw the ball a whole lot. He was only throwing the ball maybe 20 times a game, whereas in the NFL, it's probably going to be more 30 times a game. So that was, I guess, just reading around, that was what I seemed to kind of catch from people, is that it's the sample size is, can it translate from throwing like 20 passes a game to 30 passes a game and still be consistent and accurate and not get tired and stuff. But Sam O is gonna know more because he's the big Michigan dude here, so he knows far more than I'm ever gonna know. So I guess anyone can jump in and just say anything they want about JJ McCarthy, but I guess I like this. I'll say I like it. If they wouldn't have taken him, another team probably would have taken him. So Viking fans can complain, but there's another team that would have just taken him anyway. So I like it either way.
You know, I started off this off season being a bit of a JJ McCarthy hater. I couldn't really understand why he was going to go so high in the draft. And then I started watching a couple of his games. You can find full games on YouTube. I watched his game against Alabama in the Rose Bowl, where I believe he threw an interception on the very first play.
Yes. I mean, it got overturned because he stepped out of bounds, but it was still a terrible play. I'm not defending
it. Still was. It still was an atrocious throw.
Back.
It was still an atrocious throw, but it was impressive to me to see, because I believe they still scored on that drive. So it was impressive for me to see the bounce back from immediately throwing an interception, even though it was overturned, and then still going and leading a drive that you score on. And then looking at his college stats, he was throwing over 300 attempts for both his junior and senior year. He threw 322 his 2022 season and 332 his 2023 season. And in 2023, he actually had a 72.3% completion percentage, just under 3,000 yards. So honest to God, JJ McCarthy, he's a little bit rough around the edges. But I think he offers really high upside with his scrambling ability, with his medium accuracy, his deep ball accuracy, short accuracy, can use a little bit of work. But I think that can be fixed with O'Connell working with him, plus just getting some better footwork in the pocket. But yeah, JJ McCarthy, honest to God, at number 10, I think is what we got him at 10, right?
Yes.
I don't think that he should have fallen any further.
I still can't believe that Kwesi just looked at the Giants and said, you're not going to take JJ, and they didn't. I got to go back in our stream and find the reaction to that, because that was awesome.
That is one of the things that I also don't think is being talked about enough in like Vikings like social media is like he did, like he called the Giants. They were rumored this whole draft process to be interested in him. And people are like, if he falls to 6, they're gonna take him. And Kwesi said, I bet, and then they didn't. So yeah, Vikings got their guy at 10. I mean, I've said my bid on JJ McCarthy already. There's some stuff he struggles with. I will admit that. Just had some chance, just been watching a little more tape of his, and it's been, same stuff I've talked about. Inconsistencies consist of, throwing deep corners. Outside the hashes are a little tougher to hit for him. That's something that needs to be worked on. The arc under his throws. He's a big bullet pass guy. He likes to fire 100-mile-an-hour fastball all the time. So that's another thing that needs to get worked on a little bit. But no one was better than him on third down in college football. So he has that going for him. He has a 72% completion percentage, like Sam said. So, yeah, I mean, and I think ultimately it comes down to he's going to the best situation out of any of these rookie quarterbacks. So while maybe he's not the best, he's not Caleb Williams, he's not Drake May, he's not Jaden Daniels. He's throwing to guys that are proven elite talents in the NFL, and an offense that has been very good under Kevin O'Connell, and one that's going to continue to get better, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, I said this in our group chat too, another thing I noticed the other day, I was watching his opening press conference, which was, I think, late in the weekend. Maybe it was on Sunday, Saturday, whatever day it was, last weekend, or this past weekend, I should say. And one of the things I noticed about it is that he's a really good public speaker, and that to me, he's someone I'd want to follow. And reading that around, and you, Samo, have said that too, is that just he's a really good leader and he's able to lead a team. And that was something I noticed, is that, wow, this guy's really good at being a leader. And yeah, I'd follow him. He's just that kind of a guy.
And all these guys, all these Michigan guys are very well, you can tell they're PR trained. You can tell they're very well coached, all that stuff. And you watch a Blake Corum interview, it's the same thing. Mike Sanders, still any of these guys. So, but yeah, I mean, JJ's a great character, never had a single issue with anything at Michigan. He even told recruits online, he posted this. He said, if you want to get girls and go party, don't go to Michigan, go somewhere else. So there's he's going to be a guy, if he doesn't work out, it's simply because he wasn't good enough. He has a good coaching staff around him. He has all the traits. He's a positive attitude, hard worker, all that stuff. He checks all those boxes. So if he doesn't work out, it's simply going to be because either something went horribly wrong or he just wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to sound like maybe a little bit of a Kirk Cousins hater here, but maybe that's just what I am. But
That's what you are for this show.
I am on the show. But one of the criticisms I had about Kirk Cousins is he is a leader, but he's not the same kind of a leader. To me, Kirk Cousins is just kind of a quiet leader, where he doesn't want to be the one to just go in front of everyone and just lead and be the first guy. He seems like more of a quiet and just kind of an introverted kind of a guy, whereas watching JJ McCarthy, I think this is maybe why I liked it so much, is he's a lot more of a vocal leader, and he wants to lead. He wants to be there and be the first one in and the last one out. So I think that was another reason why I may have liked.
Does he bring his lunch pail every day?
Brings his lunch pail every single day. Got that sneaky athleticism.
When he scrambles, it's not because he's a good runner. It's because he's sneaky athletic.
He's sneaky athletic.
You beat me to it, Joel. I was going to say something about it too, but you just beat me to it.
So the best part about this is I have no idea what you guys are even talking about. So I don't even need to know.
Well, it's just the way NFL analysts tend to describe JJ to be a great locker room guy.
Thanks, Big Lou.
Big Lou, 17.
It's just the way that the NFL tends to describe white receivers and DBs. Sneaky athletic, first guy in, last guy out, brings his tail,
It makes sense.
Cooper DeJean has a really nice song. I've been hearing it a lot on TikTok. I can easily
a song?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. I know what he's
to Billy
We
Jean.
can't share it on this show, unfortunately.
Yeah, copyrighted. He doesn't swear.
Interesting.
But yeah, when he said he had to leave at 2:15, he wasn't lying. 2:15 on the dot.
2:15 on the dot.
Yeah, it is. So, well, we'll continue it, and we can probably keep moving on. So then the Vikings had the 23rd pick after they didn't have to give it up. moved back up to 17 with Jacksonville, took Dallas Turner, arguably the best edge rusher on the board, also up there with Leatu Latu. But I guess the things I've kind of learned about Dallas Turner from analysts is that he's good pass rusher, but he needs to get more versatile with his moves, in that he's just kind of repetitive with the pass rushing moves he has. He needs to develop some new styles to be able to get to the quarterback in different, or I should say more, develop new styles to throw off the linemen so it's not the same thing over and over and over. That was just kind of what I learned about it. I was going to say he's up there with Leatu Latu, but I know Latu has an injury history. And so that's kind of one of the things that's been dinging him. So I guess if you guys know more about Dallas Turner, you can talk about it. I like the pick a lot, and I know you guys do too. So take it away.
Something I'll say about Dallas Turner is I would compare him to like a Max Crosby or, Bosa or someone like that, Daniil Hunter, where he's just got like a high motor. He's just always really working when he's on the field. Matt, quit it.
I have a condition. My lips always quirk like that.
Dallas Turner, he's got a high motor. He's just a really tough guy. Got a high football IQ. No, I'm kidding. No, he does have a high football IQ, but I think what really stands out to me about him is he's quick off the line. His initial burst, his initial punch, it's like lightning. It's so fast. And his best moves, and unfortunately the moves he goes to almost every single pass rush rep, are his rip move and his club move. He goes to those almost every single time. He never exposes his back, which can be a good thing, but I'd love to see a spin move from time to time, or even a bull rush, because he's a big guy. I think he's 260 pounds. I'd love to see, a surprise bull rush or, a ghost move, just something like that, where it's something new, something different, but also something that he can work on and really improve on.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't want Sam Zoo to get distracted when he was giving analysis. What I'll say with both of you, your takes are good. Not every draft pick, not every player coming into the NFL is going to be polished. They're always going to have something to work on. There's something they can do to improve their game. So, yeah, Dallas Turner, you know what? He's got work to do. Caleb Williams, he's going to have work to do. McCarthy, he's got work to do. At the end of the day, it's just you have to have the right coaches and development plan in place, and it feels like, well, the Vikings with McCarthy has that. And I feel like with Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, and you got the D-line coach, they're going to do the same thing with Dallas Turner. It takes time, and he's a really good player as it is right now, but he can be even better, which is a really scary thing to think about, and good news for Vikings fans.
That was a good statement you had there, talking about coaching. I think that's one thing that sets the Vikings apart from other teams in the NFL is they have such a good coaching staff. They're able to develop these players with Kevin O'Connell on the offense and Brian Flores on the defense. I think that gives them one up on some of the other teams in the NFL with their development of players. So that said, as we keep moving along, the Vikings had no picks on Friday, pretty not surprisingly. And then they drafted Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. He's a corner. He's 6'2". Nope, hang on. I still have Dallas Turner's page up. Let me look at his measurables again. Where was it? 6'4", 194 is Kyrie Jackson. He's a taller player. If I remember right, I think he's got fairly long arms too. Pretty sure. Or unless, yeah, no, that sounds right. I think that's him. The Vikings met with him in the pre-draft process, and he's not going to make an impact right away, but it sounds like eventually with the future of this team, if it pans out, he could make an impact, and he could be a good player. Like Mekhi Blackmon, I try to remember what round he was taken in.
He was third. A first rounder. He was third?
Mekhi Blackmon was a third rounder.
Yeah. He reminded me, just listening to Kyrie Jackson and just kind of the impact he could make, reminds me a bit of Mekhi Blackmon, except Mekhi Blackmon kind of started sooner. Kyrie Jackson probably won't start right away like he did, but to me, they just feel a little bit of an apples to apples, but not exactly.
Their play styles are definitely really similar, and I actually think they have really similar stats from college. just looking at Kyrie Jackson, he had 3 interceptions his senior year, 7 passes defense, but that was also his only year as a starter. He played at Alabama for 2 years, playing behind Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terrion Arnold. You're not going to play much. So, of course, he transferred to Oregon, and he made his first year starting there. Played pretty well. He's got a really similar play style to Mekhi Blackman. He's got a hard nose, not afraid to make a hit, which is a really good thing to see from a big corner such as himself. So I think his player comp might have been Tariq Woolen from the Seahawks, just size-wise. I think Woolen is 6'4" or 6'5" or something like that. And they're both really good ball hawks. So if Jackson does start to play at any point in this year, if he plays or starts or whatever, I think that we'll see another athletic corner that the Vikings got pretty late in the draft.
Mm-hmm. To bring it back, Kyrie Jackson, I said earlier, but yeah, he's 6'4", 194. Reek Woolen is 6'4", 210. So they're the same height. Reek Woolen's just a little heavier, but that's going to happen probably when you add more muscle and whatnot. You're going to get heavier. So you were right when you said they're pretty similar comp, measurable-wise and body-wise, I guess. So that's that. Anyone else got anything to throw in about Kyrie Jackson at all?
Just another dude we need at corner.
Just a dude.
We've just struggled really at corner, to be honest. So got to have somebody next man up.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think a Caleb Evans is going to start, or is it going to be Mekhi Blackman this year?
I would say Mekhi Blackman.
Yeah, I think
that was kind of my thought too.
I feel like that's the easiest way to go. And
Evans had a rough season last year.
Evans and Booth are rotational guys, but they got to step up to it at the same time.
Was Caleb Evans drafted in 2022? Anyone remember? Would he have been a Kwesi pick, or was that the year before when it was Rick? I think he was Kwesi, but I'm trying to remember exactly.
He was drafted in 2022, round 4.
Okay, then he would have been a Kwesi pick because that was Kwesi's first draft.
Mm-hmm. I think Booth was taken in 22, round 2. So
yeah,
both were Kwesi picks, and both were.
That was a rough draft because that was also the Lewis Seaton draft. Tough times.
Right. That's when we took the Seaton.
Still time to turn it around.
But Seaton is a bust.
Lewis Seaton has 1 career tackle. He had it against Green Bay on New Year's Eve.
Was that a blow-up game that he came in?
They were up 33-10.
Okay, no wonder.
Got to start somewhere.
I'm also thinking, though, that Jay Ward, the safety out of LSU we took last year, I think there's a chance that he could start playing a little bit more this next year, maybe more as like a nickelback, kind of like a third corner, because I know he played safety and corner in college, and I think that's a very Flores kind of guy, and so I could definitely see him as that slot nickel kind of guy if we're running something where Metellus is playing safety, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Then we'll keep going down the list. The Vikings in the 6th round then took a kicker. I'm happy for him. Let's get the lasers. Woo! So, yes, the Vikings drafted Will Reichard out of Alabama after Matt Larson's favorite player, Greg Joseph, signed with the Green Bay Packers in the offseason.
Traitor.
And I believe he's the FBS.
You're dead to me.
I believe he's the all-time leading scorer in the FBS. Is that
he is
accurate?
The all-time leading scorer in the FBS. You're correct.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I think the rundown of him, from what I know, is that he's a really accurate kicker, which if you're the all-time leading scorer, you are, but he doesn't kick a whole lot of long-distance field goals. That's kind of the one thing against him. He was accurate this past year. I believe he was 5 for 5 from 50+, but also when you play Alabama, not super often, you're probably going to be kicking 50+ yard field goals when you have a team like that. So he's an accurate kicker. We'll just have to see about if he can maybe work on distance, become more consistent from distance, because in the NFL, you're not going to be Alabama. And yeah, but I applaud this. I support it as long as they don't pull Daniel Carlson, but this is a different coaching staff. it's not the same at all. So
Well,
different
what
story.
round was
extra
Daniel
point
Carlson again?
wise, in his career, he went 295 for 297, which I know it's much closer, but still.
That's still good. A point is a point.
2 extra points in 5 years that he missed. That is, yeah.
Gary Anderson stats right there is what that is.
Please need this dude.
So, I guess I don't remember for sure, but the other Vikings kicker is the Romo guy. From what he's the XFL guy, from what I remember is that he's more of a long distance field goal kicker, and that's kind of where he excels. Whereas Reichard here kind of excels more in the short distance. We'll see how the battle goes. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be Reichard that wins it, but we'll just see. We'll see how long their battle goes on. We should look up Vikings kicker draft picks in the past how many years, because the Vikings.
Last one was Daniel Carlson. Wasn't that his second?
Daniel
rounder?
Carlson was like up there, I think, if I remember right. He was a fairly high pick, and then
Or
they
a
punted on him
fourth
after
rounder.
like 3 games. But that was on Mike Zimmer. And now look at Daniel Carlson. Blair Walsh, I know, was a draft pick by the Vikings. I'm trying to remember who else. I remember they traded a draft pick for Corey Vedvik, and then nothing happened. And then they
Was
cut
Dan
him.
Bailey drafted by the Vikings?
He was with
No,
the Cowboys.
He was a
wasn't
Cowboy for the
Yeah, for the
longest
Cowboys.
time.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson was drafted by the Vikings, right?
That makes sense. Let's see who other kickers the Vikings have drafted, if we can find. Vikings
I'm
draft.
looking right now. Blair Walsh, was he drafted by the Vikings? 6th round, yeah.
Mhm.
Vikings drafted Blair Walsh.
All right, I'm gonna look up kicker. All right, we found 1961. They took in the 15th round. They took a kicker. We're gonna look up more modern history though.
The 15th round.
Yeah, it used to be like the MLB draft back in like the day.
How many rounds are there in the MLB draft?
Over 30.
Over.
I'm trying to remember what it is. It used to be like 40, wasn't it? It used to be.
If MLB the show is correct, it's over 30 rounds.
So it's got to be like a week-long draft process then.
Okay, I looked it up. It lasts right now. It lasts, I believe, 20 rounds right now, but up until 2019, it used to be 40 rounds. 40 rounds.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
that
they
sounds right.
Just changed it, yeah. So that's that. Looking through the rest of Vikings kickers, yeah, you said Blair Walsh. She was a 6th round pick in 2012. Carlson was a 5th round pick in 2018, and then now Reichard in the 6th. So that's that. So Viking fans can complain, but when he nails a game-winning field goal and goes 5 for 5 in a game, they won't be complaining anymore. Because they'll say, I just think it's funny that Vikings fans complain about consistent kicking, and then they cry when the Vikings draft a kicker. Like you want consistency, don't you? Okay, let's not get mad when you draft the FBS all-time leading scorer. So that's that. Then in the 7th, did I miss one? I think I missed a player. Hang on.
I think you're right. I think it's Juergens and then the defensive tackle.
I think I missed one though, because they had 2 6ths and 2 7ths.
Yeah.
I missed a player. Because Kyrie was the 4th. No, Reichard was the 6th. Juergens was 7th. I missed a 6th round pick.
No, Kyrie Jackson was in the 6th, wasn't he? We didn't have a 4th round pick.
I thought he was in the 4th. He was 108. Hang on. Timeout. I missed it.
We only had 6 picks though.
No, they had 7.
Oh.
Timeout. It was a lineman, I know, because they drafted 2 linemen. Oh, I know exactly who it was. It was Walter Roos, the Oklahoma guy.
Isn't that the guy that said he wants to be a doctor when he's done in the NFL?
Potentially. Okay, so I missed. That was my bad, y'all. He was before Reichard, and I missed him. So yeah, the Vikings drafted Walter Roos, I don't know, something like that. unknown at this point. We'll figure it out. Kind of like Jaquelin Roy last year. No one knew how to pronounce it for the first few weeks. So we got Walter Rouse/Rouse/ something. He was drafted in the 6th round. He's played for Alabama, so pretty high level play. I believe he gave up no sacks his senior year, if I remember correctly. And yeah, so he's a tackle. He seems like he'll probably be the swing tackle for the Vikings. For years, it was Blake Brandel, but now they've kind of kicked him inside to guard. So they're kind of in need of a swing tackle. So I think that's kind of what this fella here might be. So my bad for missing him. I knew I missed someone. I was like, I missed a player.
Joel, are you not satisfied with Oli Udoh?
I'm not satisfied with Oli Udoh. He was bad at wasn't he left tackle when he he played like every position. No, it was right guard when he was bad, but he was a natural tackle. So that was the problem. That was bad. I remember he got arrested on their bye week a couple years ago in Miami. That was its own thing because the Vikings players and coaches love to get arrested. So that's that. The only team I think that's ever been arrested more than them, I think, is the Raiders. If I remember right. Raiders love to get arrested. They've got quite the history over there out in Vegas.
I don't know if you guys saw, but on the Raiders Twitter, they posted a video of like one of their new draftees sprinting, doing the 40-yard dash, and it said "speed kills."
There was one in baseball. I don't know how much you follow baseball, but you know about Jose Fernandez, Joel?
Nope.
Yeah.
So the Cubs did something, and David Bodie hit a home run. Sam, for reference, Jose Fernandez died in a boating accident. So the Cubs tweet out, "Nighttime boat rides in Miami" is like the better than sign.
Oof.
Yeah.
Poor choice of words by those sports teams.
How can like the Raiders post something like that and not someone says like, okay, let's just like think about it here.
No one on the PR
be
team
funny, or we could just use our brain and think, what do we want to post?
No one on the PR team shot that down. Not one person. Every person that would be like, yeah, I think this is probably good.
Oh, Henry Ruggs was a Raider? Shoot.
Among others, yes.
Oh, yeah. They got quite the history.
No, that's probably what the PR person was thinking. Oh, that's why it's not a good thing to say.
PR person? Dude, they have a whole team that decided.
No, they have a team, but there's one person that hit the send button.
Well, yes, but they have to get it approved by the whole team, I think.
The whole team must have
approved it. The tweets that I see get sent out, I don't know if they even approve them at this point. There's some wild stuff teams put out.
And you know, it might have been done on purpose, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. All right, so not much more to say about Walter here. Now we kick to the interior offensive line. They took Michael Juergens, I believe, on like the big boards. So like every board kind of compiled together. He was all the way down in like the 400s. So he was not a super great prospect. Seems like maybe the Vikings wanted him as a UDFA, but they didn't want to fight with other teams. Sometimes in the later rounds, players would rather go undrafted because then you actually have a market and teams are kind of bidding on you. Whereas when you get drafted, you don't have a choice. So that might have been the situation here. I don't know much about him. I think he can play anywhere in the interior offensive line, but he played mainly center at trying to remember where
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. They're in the ACC, aren't they?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, I was gonna say maybe you know a little bit about him, maybe not, because you're the Clemson ACC guy.
No, but I guess at the end of the day, Garrett Bradbury's had some injury issues. So, do we retain Quisenberry?
They did, yeah.
Okay, so there's some options there.
He's a tackle. He's a tackle, though. Quisenberry's a tackle.
But didn't they move him to center at times?
I don't think so. You might be thinking about Chris Reed.
Did Chris Reed play center then?
Because they had Chris Reed. They had the former Broncos guy. Oh, Schlotman.
Oh, Schlotman.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name for a moment. They didn't retain either of them, at least as far as I remember.
So look, right now for interior guys, the Vikings have starting at left guard Blake Brandel, at center Garrett Bradbury, at right guard Ed Ingram, For backups for center, there's Dan Feeney and Michael Juergens. Backup left guard is Henry Bird, and backup right guard is Tyrese Robinson.
Mm-hmm. So, not a good position group area, but at the end of the day, we can look at like this guy and say, "Oh, is he good? Is he not?" Juergens probably isn't going to do anything. He's just a depth guy. So,
That's usually what a lot of those late picks are to begin with.
There's a chance he might not ever see the football field in a regular season game, but we'll just have to see. Also, I've been wondering this for days, but I haven't Googled it. Is he related to Cam Juergens? Does anyone know if there's a relation between them? I have been thinking about it for a few days, but I just never got around to like Googling it. Because Cam Juergens, he's with the Eagles. Is that correct? I believe. Anyone? I thought he was.
Cam Juergens, yeah, for the Eagles.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Backup center for the Eagles. He played, I think he got picked in 2022, 2021 draft, 2022 draft. I see no relation.
Yeah, I don't see any either. But I'm only on Wikipedia, which isn't a reliable source anyway.
According to lastwordonsports.com, it says 99% sure there's no relation between Michael Juergens and Cam Juergens. I just thought it was interesting because they played the same position, so maybe there is, but I guess not. Talking about relations, though, I believe it's this guy here. I believe he has some relations, unless I'm thinking about someone else. Levi Drake Rodriguez is related to some guys. I'm trying to remember if that is accurate or if I'm thinking about someone else. Because there was someone who got drafted that's related in total to like 7 NFL players and like closely related to like 2.
The heck?
I'm trying to remember who it is, though. I could be wrong. I will say that. There's definitely a chance I'm wrong. In fact, I probably am wrong because that's just how it is. I'm looking here. I'm going to look on his Wikipedia page. So he was drafted in the 7th round. He's a defensive tackle. He played for Texas A&M Commerce. Might be a different guy. I see nothing about him on Wikipedia. His page is pretty much blank.
Let's see. Texas A&M Commerce. In his career, he had 48 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. Or sorry, he had 79 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. So nothing too crazy, but addressed a position of need. He's 6'4", 290 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably put a little bit more weight on him if he's going to play behind Harrison Phillips. But
I wasn't watching the draft on Saturday at all, but from other podcasts I listened to that were watching the draft, they said that Mel Kiper and whoever else it was talking on day 3. The picks are like close together. It's only like 4 minutes between like 7th round picks. So usually there's not really an announcement. There is at the actual event, but on TV, there's no special announcement. It just kind of flashes on screen. But it sounded like when the Vikings picked this Levi Drake Rodriguez guy, Mel Kiper and whoever else he was talking to, they stopped for a couple minutes to talk about him because like they were like a couple players behind because that's just kind of how it is. And then they saw that and they acknowledged it for multiple minutes, the Vikings taking him, and that he could be a sleeper pick. So I don't know anything about him, but the analysts seem to like him as just kind of a late round, could do something, could also not do something, but could be a backup maybe at some point, or maybe even a rotational guy. You never know. So that's kind of that. And I guess unless anyone else has to add, that's the Vikings draft did players. Then the Vikings on Sunday or Saturday proceeded to pick up some UDFAs. A few of them, in total, they picked up 17 of them. Most of them are just kind of depth guys to fill out your roster. That's just kind of how it goes. But they did pick up a few intriguing names. The main one for the Vikings was Gabriel Murphy, the edge rusher out of UCLA. Sounds like I believe from what I remember, he was ranked number 111 on the big board of prospects. So he was a mid-round pick. I'll look up on like the NFL.com. They always give like projections of when a player could get drafted. We'll see what they have for him. And if he could be kind of an Ivan Pace kind of a guy. He was projected a 5th round pick on NFL.com. So, and he was able to go undrafted, and the Vikings picked him up. Probably gave him a pretty big signing bonus, but I haven't seen any contractual details about that kind of stuff. So, I guess I don't know if you guys know anything about him other than the fact that he sounds to be pretty good. I don't know anything specifically about him, but maybe he can be a rotational guy, eventually work his way up. We'll just have to see. So,
just a guy you sign to compete for a roster spot. Maybe a depth guy at the end of the day.
So also, I should say that he, after the draft was over, out of all the players that went undrafted, he was ranked the number 1 UDFA out of the whole class, and the Vikings were able to get him. I would say last year, I don't know if Ivan Pace was number 1, but he was probably up there.
He was number 1.
Okay, yeah. And then the Vikings also got Andre Carter too, but nothing happened last year. We'll see in the future if he ever amounts to anything in the NFL. So that was that. The Vikings also got a couple other positions I think that fans have talked about. There's an outside linebacker from the Air Force Academy that was also, I think, pretty high on the UDFA board that has gotten a little steam. I'll look for his name. I don't know anything about him either. His name is Bo Richter. We'll look up also kind of his projection. Bo Richter, what an awesome name. I think Bo is just an awesome name, if I'm being honest. That's a great football name, Bo Richter. He was a 6th or 7th round pick is what his.
Oh, and if you guys go to his ESPN, it's actually him in his Air Force fatigues. Not his fatigues, his like dress
Uniform.
fatigues. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, that's on NFL.com on his like prospect page.
Yeah.
It's also like his like Air Force uniform, not like football uniform, but his like combat. I don't know. We don't know.
I want to see Big Lou in his combat uniform when he gets drafted.
Yeah.
Actually, Bo Richter had a pretty good senior season. He had 10 sacks this last year and 3 forced fumbles. So
good for him. Good for him. Maybe he'll do something.
Solid edge.
Also, there's kind of 3 big name UDFAs the Vikings got. They also got a corner out of Arkansas. Sam O isn't on the podcast anymore, but he said he knew a little about him. I don't know anything about him, but it sounds like he might be all right too.
What was his name?
Dwight McGlothern. Is his name. I don't know anything about him.
Let's see his stats his senior year. Senior year, 3 interceptions, 6 passes defensed, 20 total tackles. Sophomore, or his junior year was his best season. He had 4 picks, 10 PBUs, and 52 total tackles.
Nice.
And he played at LSU his freshman and sophomore year.
Mm-hmm. So some of these guys could maybe be like practice squad kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not going to be able to make it onto your roster, but as always, if they don't make it on your roster and go to your practice squad, you do risk the chance that another team could pick them up through waivers. But
yeah,
we'll just have to see. Another interesting thing I think about this weekend, the Vikings drafted or signed no running backs whatsoever. And so they seem, I think, pretty confident with the running backs they have, Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones as well, which I don't disagree. I'll say I don't hate the decision of not drafting or signing any running backs. I'm okay with those guys. I think that Aaron Jones will be a nice probably 1A, and then 1B will be Ty Chandler. Aaron Jones has had some injury issues in his career, but Ty Chandler was kind of the burst at the end of the year for the Vikings. So I think it'll be a nice 1A, 1B punch, and I don't disagree with what they did, I'll say. With that said, sorry, Matt sent me a funny photo. Is that a mugshot? What are you looking at?
Yeah, it was a mugshot. It was one of the college protesters, but it just had a shocking resemblance to Joel's roommate.
Yeah, the face does look a lot like. Are you gonna send that to him?
I will. I just wanted approval that I wasn't the only one who thought that.
No, the hair looks nothing like it, but the face structure does look pretty similar to my college roommate this past year.
And now you'll still actually your college roommate when you move into your apartment.
He will be, yes. As long as he gets his lease and stuff filled out. So if you're watching this, which he's not, do it. Hurry up and do it. So that's that. I guess any other like takeaways from the draft, UDFA, all that stuff?
No, I don't know if you guys saw, but Big Lou said that we got almost 600 views on our last video.
We did talk about that a little bit before we went live.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Nope.
560 some or 80 something.
Tough.
Really well.
Is that our most viewed video?
I think
For
so.
sure.
So
Couple
if anyone's watching
subscriber-
this, I was just gonna say, if anyone's watching this, that was either watching Thursday or is watched after. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we provided you good football, funny content throughout the 3.5 hour stream or whatever, however long it was. We went all the way from like 6:30 p.m. a little after 6:40, I think, all the way up until I think maybe like pick 24 maybe or so.
I was
when we
close to
ended
10
it.
p.m. So
It was
could've
right
been-
after.
Or like 30 minutes if we stayed to the very end of the first round, but
It
thankfully
was right after the Packers picked, I think, is kind of when we decided, there's not much more to say. So
yeah, when
Yeah.
the Packers picked Jordan Morgan, who was a projected 3rd round pick in the 1st round, I think that's when we decided, this isn't worth our time anymore.
So thanks,
gained
guys.
a couple
for watching.
subscribers. Yeah, dope.
I've been watching. The subscriber count here has been going up lately. I guess I don't remember what it was before the draft. Now we're at 112. So
Ooh.
thanks, folks, for subscribing. We don't really care about numbers and analytics that much, but it's always nice to see that
Once in a while, you know.
Nice to see people are watching videos and we aren't just dummies talking to ourselves. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the content and whatnot. So with that said, we are going to, I don't know if Sam made any predictions. If you
He
didn't,
did.
that's okay.
He did.
Did this Sam make predictions?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, nice. Everyone's on the ball. That's what we like to see.
Everyone's on the ball. I was making it while I was supposed to be doing a presentation about how to fix the athletics department here at St. John's.
Well, when the athletics department continues to fail, I know who I can blame. So
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Okay,
speaking of athletics at St. John's, I do want to shout out Alex Larson, our friend that is just graduating this year. He made it to the Seahawks rookie camp. So good luck, Alex. Hopefully, you're able to make either the practice squad or the roster for some team this year. So
What position?
he's a tight end.
Got
He's
it.
6'6".
Oh, wow.
A big tight end. Yeah.
St. Cloud native Brevin Spanford signing a UD. He signed a contract with the Cowboys.
Did he really?
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
I thought he would have been drafted. Honestly, he was
A
pretty
lot
good,
of people
though.
thought he would too. He had a little inconsistency in terms of his hands, but they feel like he can be
Yeah.
a really good run blocker / can mold into a nice tight end.
Well, he is 265.
6'7", 260, which is just
He's a
basically
monster.
another O lineman right there.
Yeah. I remember watching him cut up Ricori in high school when he played for Tech. He was 6'7" then too, but he was playing wide receiver and he was maybe 210 pounds. God, he was fast. Just fade route, one-handed catch, fade route, head top. He was a ridiculous athlete in high school. He went to the U and played there for 5 years, I think, 6 years maybe.
Yeah, 5. He had the extra COVID year.
Phenomenal tight end. I think he was a captain, if I'm not mistaken. Was he?
That sounds
was he a
right.
captain?
I could have
I
sworn
think he was
saw
a
the
captain his
state
senior
badge.
year. But yeah, Brevin Spanford. So yeah, great. Oh, that's awesome for him.
This is a really random note that I don't even know if it's worth sharing on air, but we're going to do it anyway. Brevin Spanford. So me and Samzy, obviously we went to the same high school. Brevin Spanford dated one of our teachers that we had high school's daughter at one point. I don't know if you know that. I will not share the name publicly of who it was, but I can
Send
put
it
it
in the private chat. I'm curious.
Yeah, he at one point in high school when he went to Tech went out with one of our teachers that we had daughter, but that would have been in high school how many years ago?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
she was a teacher at our school that we went to.
Okay.
That I won't.
That was my
share.
guess.
Obviously, for privacy, won't share that, but
Yeah, that was my guess though.
kind of interesting. So that's kind of that.
How did you find that out?
She said it once in class. It was probably like how'd it get brought? I don't remember how it got brought up. She brought him up, and then she was like, "Oh, something about he went to tech." She was like, "He actually went out with one of my daughters at one point."
Oh,
And
that's
I was
funny.
like, "Why are we bringing this up in class?"
In the middle of class, yeah. She always had
just to
craziest stories
flex
in
on
class.
you guys.
So the first day of class I had with her, my senior year, I had an econ class with her, and the first day it was nothing econ related. It was just like her life story and
Yep.
all of her children and everything.
Every
That's
single
all she
class.
talked about.
Every single class.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts about having her 2 times a day for my entire third trimester of my senior year.
Oh yeah. We used to set over unders and back when I had the one econ class with her, we would set over unders on the CNN 10 how long it would take to get through. She would pause
And
it
I think normally our over under was set at 18 minutes. For reference, it's supposed to be 10, but it would get paused so often that we would normally the over was the safe the safe bet.
Oh, yeah.
So
she found out one time that we were doing that and she didn't care.
I know, she thought it was hilarious.
Oh, what a time.
Actually, I think one time she came up to me and she asked me, "Hey, which side did you pick today? Did you go over or under?" I think I said over, and so she took extra time to make sure that I won.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, she was awesome. One of my favorite teachers from high school.
Mm-hmm. So, as we move into predictions now, we've got some predictions here. I might make a bonus prediction, or I might replace one of mine. We'll see how I'm feeling here. I've got one in mind that I thought about after I did this. So we had a lot of predictions come off the board because it was draft weekend. I'll run pretty quick through them here. I said the Wolves would win game 1 against the Suns. Well, guess what? They swept the Phoenix Suns. So let's go Wolves. I said the Vikings would draft in the top 10 of the draft. Kwesi clutched up and went from 11 to 10. I also said JJ McCarthy would be a top 10 pick. Also clutched up because it was number 10. I said they drafted a quarterback in the first or second round a long time ago, and they did. Seems pretty obvious now. Another lucky one. I said there'd be at least 5 trades on Thursday. There was exactly 5, and the 5th trade was for the 32nd pick. So the Panthers came through at the very end with the 5th trade. I also said their first selection would wear a single-digit number. It has been reported that Drake May will wear number 9, or not Drake May. JJ McCarthy will wear 9, which was Tristan Jackson's number, so he will have to explore something else. But if that changes, I'll read that. But as of now, it's a green. I said Williams, Daniels, McCarthy, May. That was wrong. And exactly 3 in the top 10, but not more than 5 in the first round. And it was 4 in the top 10 and 6 in the first round. All right. Let's see what Sam Z said.
All right. So I said number 1 that Cooper DeJean will not be the first cornerback selected. Right now, this seems like a gimme.
Actually, hang on. That's no, that's green.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Ignore that.
Which sounds like a gimme right now, but when I first made this prediction, it was like he was the very clear-cut number 1 corner in the draft. And so I decided to go against it. And, now he even went into the second. I said exactly 5 wide receivers will be taken in the first round of the draft this year. I think it was 6 or 7.
I think it was 7, if I remember.
7? Right.
Yeah.
There were a lot more than expected because way near the end, the Panthers traded up for Xavier Leggett, so that was also a bit of a curveball. And I also said Caleb Williams will not go number 1 in the 2024 NFL draft. Obviously, he did. This was when there was still debate among the top 3 quarterbacks of who was going first.
Mm-hmm. Over here, we've got Big Lou. He said they'd trade the 11th pick, and they did. He also said way back, Justin Jefferson will be traded before the draft is over. He was not traded. So Big Lou is wrong.
This was just after the trade deadline that he said that.
After months of us clowning on him for that prediction, it finally became red. He also said exactly 2 of the 4 quarterbacks of last year's starting quarterbacks won't be on the roster. As of right now, it is exactly 2, but most certainly either Nick Mullins or Jaron Hall will be cut. So it's only a matter of time before that one becomes green, but it will probably be eventually. Over here, we've got Matt, who had a bloodbath of a week.
One might say that. I said, Well, to counter Big Lou's awful prediction, that was my only green. And to save anyone from making jokes about it, I am 1 for 10 on the year. As well, my last prediction mocked Big Lou for being bad at predictions. The rest of my Reds, I said Drake May will be the second quarterback taken. At the time, it felt like a gimme, but then Jane Daniels moved his way up and played himself into that number 2 spot. Said JJ McCarthy would be a second rounder. At the time I made that prediction, that's where he was projected to be until he shot up draft boards. I said AJ Brown would be traded in the offseason because at that time I heard a bunch of people saying he was a locker room cancer, and the day of the draft he got a record extension. So that clearly ended that hope. I said Will Shipley would be drafted by the Vikings. I just wanted to see a Clemson guy get drafted by Minnesota. It didn't happen. He went to Philly. And I said the Timberwolves will lose in 6 games. Timberwolves didn't lose in 6 games. In fact, they didn't lose a series at all. And reverse psychology worked into my favor. So
shame on you. Shame on you.
I also, it was off camera, but I did predict that Chris Finch would get injured during the series. It's unfortunate we didn't get that on the record.
Yeah.
It was very, prayers up to Chris Finch, But if anyone had to go down, I'm glad it was him.
What?
Because I wouldn't want Conley getting hurt.
Okay, well, that's a fair point. But you didn't expand on that right away.
Sorry. Let me be very clear. It sucks that Finch got hurt. A very freak incident, but he can still coach, thankfully.
Yeah.
He'll just look really bulked up in a brace, or I don't even think he'll be able to coach game 1 on the sideline. I think it's the initial report, but
it sounded like
that was taken really bad out of context. So
it sounds like what's going to happen is he's going to have surgery tomorrow, and it sounds like he might be able to coach game 1 from the locker room with a headset on, talking to Micah Nori, who's the assistant coach for the Wolves, or like they're next in line almost. I don't know if we've ever had that before. Maybe it's happened before, but not to my knowledge has a coach ever coached from the locker room. But
and if anything, Michael Nori is another head coach at this point. I'd be very shocked if he stayed as an assistant, because I feel like in this ever-changing NBA culture where you only get 1 year to prove yourself and then you get fired for some reason, I feel like he'll be a head coach.
It's just tough for the Wolves that it happened at this time, and it wasn't like at the middle of the season, and it's like right now in the playoffs when they just swept the Suns, and now they're about to enter a second-round matchup against the defending NBA champions. So not ideal timing, but can't change the past. So all you can do is look to make the best out of what we got. So that's that. As we scroll over to Sam O here, he had actually a pretty nice week. He said JJ McCarthy would be a first-round pick. That was countering Matt's second-round pick one that he made. He also said the Vikings would draft Penix, McCarthy, or Bo. They got McCarthy, who is the best one out of all of them, so good choice. He also said they'd draft a player from Michigan, and they did. Justin Jefferson will be extended before the draft did not happen. He also said the Vikings will not draft a quarterback involving their first-round pick. Well, their first-round pick was the 11th. They used that to move up to 10, so it is a red prediction. Over here, I'm currently in first place. I'm on fire so far. I don't know how I'm doing so good. Kwesi's been clutching up, as well as the Panthers GM did as well. Followed by Big Lou, but he's only had 2 predictions come off the board. He's 1 for 2. Who is followed by Sam O at 45, followed by Sam Z at 20, and Matt having a tough time. Maybe he'll come back. We'll just have to see.
Very early.
You started 0 for 8, I think, or 0 for 9. You were for sure 0 for 8.
That sounds about right.
So eventually he got one correct, and that's that. So as we look over here, we'll go through our now predictions. All right, so I'll start us off. My first prediction, I'm trying to remember what it was. I said JJ McCarthy will play in at least 5 regular season games this season. Didn't say he'll start at least 5. I think he could, but he will play or appear in at least 5 regular season games. Does not include the preseason. We'll just have to see how it goes if Sam Darnold starts half the year and they transition, if he starts 3/4 of the year and they transition, if he starts the whole year. Who knows? Maybe JJ McCarthy will start the whole year. But right down, JJ McCarthy will play in at least 5 regular season games this year. I would like if they split it, kind of like half the season one, half the season the other. Obviously, it depends on how much he progresses. That would, to me, be the perfect world situation if they could do that.
Could switch right after the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. That would be a good time, I think. But obviously, that's just perfect world. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do you want to do all 3 of yours, or do you just want to go 1 for each?
I can do all 3.
Rip them off.
I'll do them. Yeah. We'll rip them off. Dallas Turner will have at least 7 sacks this season. The Vikings first rounder, Dallas Turner. I was trying to find a good number that I wanted. I originally had 8, and then I was like, not going to quite stretch it. So I had 6. Then I was like, nope, we're going to go bold here. Dallas Turner will have at least 7 sacks this season. He'll probably start the year as a rotational player, maybe a 3rd down pass rusher. But maybe I think as the year goes on, he'll become more of an every snap kind of a guy. So we'll just have to see. My third prediction.
Starter week 1.
My third prediction, the Falcons and Vikings game will be played on Sunday Night Football. Kirk Cousins returns to U.S. Bank Stadium. Or Michael Penix. Probably not. You never know.
Kirk tears his other Achilles.
Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy will be teaming up for that one. Also, I thought about making this, and I might as well do it. Bonus prediction. The Timberwolves will beat the Denver Nuggets. The Wolves will eliminate the Nuggets and move to the conference championship round. Let's go. They'll move to the Western Conference Championship.
I like it. All right. Prediction number 1 for me is that JJ McCarthy is going to lead the Vikings in passing yards this season. That might be a gimme. It might not. Depends how Darnold is playing the first half of the season. Depends if McCarthy steps in earlier in the season, if he steps in later in the season. It depends on, injuries. There's a lot of things that can play into that, but I think McCarthy is going to be our passing yard leader this season. My second prediction is that the Vikings will have a top 7 yardage defense this year, not necessarily scoring, but yardage. I think the Vikings with the addition of Cashman, of Greenard, of Turner, I think those really play into our defense getting a lot better. And I think they're not gonna, because I think they were in the 20s last year, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 26th, something like that.
It was better than Ed Donatel, so
it was better
steadily.
Can't be worse than that.
Cannot be worse than Ed Donatel. Yep, you're absolutely right. But yeah, I think the Vikings could be in the top 7 for yardage this year, just simply because of all those new additions. And I think that we're going to have some breakout players in Cashman, Greenard, and Turner. Prediction number 3 is that Ivan Pace Jr. is going to have 3.5 sacks this year. He had 2.5 in 2023. I see him blitzing a lot more this year, not so much in pass coverage every play. I really think that, and I totally forgot defensive coordinator's name. Help me out.
Flores.
Thank you so much. Brain fart. I think Flores is going to send him on a blitz a lot more often now. I think that we're going to be playing a lot of 2 inside linebacker packages now with the addition of Cashman. And Cashman is a better pass coverage linebacker than Pace is. And so I see Pace getting sent on blitzes quite often. And that's what he did really well in college, is he blitzed through the A gap, through the B gap, occasionally through the C gap. But yeah, so Ivan Pace Jr. is getting a bunch of sacks this year.
Nice. Big Lou made no predictions because he's not here per usual. I was surprised he was here Thursday, to be honest. But that's all right. Big Lou's busy serving the country. Just kidding. Not right now. He's probably studying for finals right now, so.
Yeah, engineering finals are no joke, I bet.
I bet, yeah. But in the summer, Big Lou will be gone more because I think he has his basic training or whatever. But we respect that. Good for Big Lou. We love Big Lou. As much as we meme on him, we still love Big Lou. What a great man.
This podcast wouldn't be what it is without him.
That is very true.
My first prediction is that Sam Darnold will be our week 1 starter because it sounds like the coaches are making benchmarks that JJ McCarthy has to hit until he's QB1. Are you laughing at my prediction? How dare
That's a
you?
stupid prediction because it's such a layup, and you're yelling at me all year last year for having just
How is
layup.
that a layup?
He's got to
How
get
is
his
that not a
completion
layup?
percentage
Why
back.
would we get Darnold if we weren't going to start him week 1?
Oh yeah, we have to have a backup somewhere, even if you are going to draft a
Nick
quarterback.
Mullins.
Nick Mullins is a backup. What do you mean?
He's got to get that
You
completion
want me to
percentage up.
change it because
No,
I'm a man?
You leave it. But when it's right and it's going to be right, just green it right now. Just green it.
I would really love if JJ McCarthy was the week 1 starter and this was wrong. That would be awesome.
That would be really funny. That would be really funny. I would love that, but
There's my new prediction. Just green it now.
Hold on. All right, hold on. There we go.
Okay. I did have a different prediction. According to Joel, I have a new bonus prediction, which I'll just use as my third, since some people feel really emotional about Sam Darnold for some odd reason.
Hey, I like
All
my
right.
Sams, okay? Don't mess with me.
Cooper DeJean, not a safety, will have 3 interceptions this season. Is that a layup? Do I need to remove that prediction?
No, that's a good prediction. I like that one.
Okay, just making sure because some
Starting at
I'm
safety
riled up.
alongside Reed Blankenship.
Vikings will have 3+ primetime games this year, of which one of them will probably include the Falcons game. I feel like it's not a layup. I feel like that's a decent enough prediction.
I have a question about that. Does that include
have an answer.
Does London count as primetime? Because in my mind, it doesn't, but to some people, it does. Do you count London as being primetime?
What time is the London game in America?
It's like 8:30 or whatever.
Then no.
Okay,
Then
that's what I think. To me, primetime is Thursday night. It's a night game.
Thursday night, Sunday night,
after
Monday
7
night.
o'clock
That's prime
is prime
time.
time. That's what I think. Some people count standalone games like that as prime time because there's no other games in that spot. I don't, but I just had to make sure because some people vary their definition of prime time. But I agree with you.
How we feel about that one?
I mean, that one's up to you, man.
All right. My last
There's
prediction.
going to have to be a lot of injuries for that one to be correct.
Final prediction: Nuggets will win in 6 versus the Timberwolves.
All right. That means they would have to win at Target Center then. Game 6 would be in Target Center, wouldn't it be?
That is right, Joel. They would have to win at Target Center.
Okay, so one of the dumbest things I'll say, Game 1 is on Saturday, which is okay. I'm going to be in South Dakota, so for me it's not ideal, but it's fine. Monday is Game 2. Game 3 isn't until Friday of next week. There's a 4-day gap. What is up with that? What is
That's
the NBA
dumb.
doing? They have a 4-day gap between Game 2 and Game 3, which is dumb, but whatever. The times for those games haven't come out, but the dates are known, so that's good. All right, we'll keep going. Sam O isn't here, but he had some predictions that he made at least, so we'll go through them. Gabriel Murphy will be the only UDFA to make the initial 53. That's a good prediction right there. That is a good prediction from Sam O. He followed it up with Sam Darnold will start at least the first 4 weeks of the season.
Oh, layup. Oh my gosh. What a layup. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go back to my...
The integrity of this show has been compromised.
Yes, Joel. I like it.
I
like
You're
it.
playing at least 8 games. After I didn't know, but seeing everyone else's predictions, I'm going to up the stakes. He's going to play in at least 8. And Wolves in 6. from Sam O.
Wolves in 6.
I'm going
I
to
like
change
it.
mine. Wolves will beat the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. I'll make it more
Do we have to win
specific.
Game 7 in Denver, Joel?
Yes, because I don't think. Yes.
That would be pretty dope.
Here's the
won't
thing.
lie,
I
if
would
that
say
does
that they would
happen.
win in 6. I think they would win in 6, but Sam O already beat me to it, so that's why I can't say that. I'm not gonna copy him. So we're gonna
If the
say they win
Wolves
in
were
7.
obviously,
And
if
I
the
don't
Wolves
think they're gonna
the
win in
series-
5. So
If the Wolves win the series, obviously that's really dope. But if they did it in 7 games in Denver in Game 5 or 7, that would be pretty sweet.
that would be pretty awesome. So there we go. That's our predictions, folks. Wolves in 6, Wolves in 7. I don't care. Wolves in 4 or 5. Whatever it is, whatever it takes. So that's our predictions, folks. And that's that. So I didn't tease this at the beginning of the episode. I was on the podcast a few weeks ago with Matt, and I said that, most people buy NFL jerseys for like $120 online, whatever. So I went and on a website, I proceeded to buy a Jordan Addison jersey, and I got it in the mail today. So we're going to open it and see if it is legit, see if I got scammed. We're going to do a live unboxing of this uniform.
Should
It
I
is
grab a jersey that's like from NFL to compare?
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute here. So this is a Jordan Addison classic jersey. So the throwback uniforms. I have a helmet over there that Matt gave me, but I'm not going to go get it. So it's one of those uniforms.
4 steps.
Okay, I'll get it.
I'll count them. 1, 2, 3. Oh, an overachiever. He did it in 3.
This uniform.
I
So-
didn't give you that one.
Yeah, you did.
You got me that
Oh,
one.
I bought this one. You got me the camo one.
Yeah.
I forgot.
1, 2, 3. Oh,
I forgot. You got me the camo one. I got him the
You got
classic
me the
one.
retro one, which sits in
I'll
my
get me
apartment.
one of the normal uniforms and we can compare.
That Joel guy is such a jerk.
I know, right? What a weirdo.
What a messy room. It's like he
In
just
honor
moved
of
back
Kirk
from
Cousins.
college.
I just moved back yesterday.
That's
me a
why I
break.
said that.
In honor of Kirk Cousins, I have my Kirk Cousins. It's a Stitch jersey that also came off a weird website, but that one worked also. So that was a success. So we're gonna open this and we're gonna see if it was worth it.
Oh, he doesn't
Josh
even need
Dobbs.
scissors. He's just so strong.
This it looks good.
Oh my gosh, it's legit.
Dude, it looks
Hold
good.
on. Confirm it. We got to confirm it.
All
Open
right,
it
we're
up.
gonna open it.
Ladies, you see this? He doesn't even need scissors. He did that with his bare hands.
It smells like a
I
fresh.
could never.
That looks enormous. Oh my god.
Joel, you gotta grow?
This is the same size as my Kirk one, I think.
Why is the number so small?
Oh, actually, no, it's not.
Did you get it off the MLB website?
No,
Because they've been messing up jerseys.
I told you where I got this off. You're right. I did get it a little big, but it's okay.
I mean,
Huge.
isn't there supposed to be the Vikings over top, like in between the V-neck and the number?
That's a good question.
don't
We're gonna
know.
look up the jersey because I don't remember.
Because that just looks so bland.
That was what I thought too.
This one is mine from the Vikings, like the actual Vikings
Shouldn't-
website.
So
Shouldn't there
I-
just be a Vikings in between that?
All right, here's what we're gonna do, folks.
I'm shocked he's still here, though. I'm happy he's still here.
Harrison Smith?
Shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
No, I guess
Maybe it's
not.
the
Yeah, I
dog.
guess not.
It's just a big gap.
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck? I don't
It
know.
is.
His number just looks tiny.
Maybe
on his
that's
jersey.
why.
The
I guess
number
it
looks.
might just be where the
small.
numbers put.
It
But
looks
at the
a
same
little weird.
time,
Well, maybe,
But it's
but if you
right.
look at my numbers, like if you put one of those in the middle, that would still be pretty big.
I
What do you
mean,
think?
it still looks like the old jersey.
Yeah, I mean it's very close. I will definitely say that.
And for $40, I'm not going to complain.
Right?
I'll see if said website I got it from. I don't know if I can or not, but I might try and exchange it for a smaller size because I think I don't know if I got the right one or not. I bought this when I was in college, so I didn't have my other jerseys with me to see what size they were, so I couldn't remember. So I kind of just took my best guess. So maybe I might be able to exchange it, but at least the jersey itself is like real, and I know the seller is real, so that's good. So me and Matt, yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago on here. I said that I bought one, and I got that in the mail, so I figured I'd give an update to the people about, was it legit? Well, yes, it actually was legit, and it seems like it worked. So otherwise, that's it. Matt said he hasn't ever gotten one from a sketchy website. Sam, have you ever gotten a jersey from, or you've only got like official ones?
I've only got one. I've only got the Harrison Smith. Well, I guess I have a Dalvin Cook one when he was 33 for the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. So I've got a couple. I've got an Adam Thielen purple, normal home purple one. That one I got as a gift, so don't know. I have a white Justin Jefferson. That one I bought myself from the NFL website, so it was one of the expensive ones. This Kirk one I got for like, I don't know, $60 or something. I'm not even holding it straight. This was on a weird website, but it worked. There we go. So that one worked out. And now this one for like $40 off another website that will not be named. So that's that. Anyone else got any closing thoughts, or else I think we can close this one up?
This was a W. This was a W. This was a W.
W episode. Let's go.
If you haven't already, but you're not obligated to, hit the subscribe button to help grow our channel. Obviously, you don't have to. In fact, I'm telling you not to, because that's mean to tell you to do something if you don't want to. Be sure to leave a like, comment, share with all your friends. Well, in my case, I have to share it with these guys. I don't have many friends. Joel, I've hit this outro pretty well, haven't I?
Yes. Keep it up.
Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out. And as always, SKOL Vikings. We will see.